Welcome, everybody. I'm Chase Masterson, hosting this special live event as we announce the nominations for this year's 41st Annual Saturn Awards, presented by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. The Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films was founded in 1972 by film historian Dr. Donald A. Reed because of his lifelong passion for genre films. The Academy is an organization devoted to paying tribute to numerous achievements in the arts and craft of genre entertainment, and the Saturn Award is our way of honoring the best of the best. There's no denying the creative talent who work in these areas of imagination, filmmaking, and television. Our endeavor points us to entertainment which is of enhanced or exaggerated reality. These are films which run the gamut from eye-popping spectacle to personal, thought-provoking introspection. They steal our hearts and fuel our imagination. For most of us, they have since we were children. The Saturn Awards, which have been around 43 years, is proud to recognize and honor the talent of artists and craftspersons who work in all aspects of genre entertainment. The nominations are created from blue ribbon committees of experts and enthusiasts alike who view film and TV with the purpose of helping us choose nominees in each of their selective areas. To announce this year's nominations, we have two fantastic actors who are well loved in the genre. Both these talents are known for working in a capacity that puts extra demands on an actor and also shows another key area of genre expertise, that of prosthetic makeup and special effects. I think it's extra fitting that we've chosen Naomi Grossman from American Horror Story and Doug Jones from Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, Falling Skies, and more to announce the nominations. We'd like to invite you to live tweet during the nominations using #SaturnAwards. And here we go, with Doug Jones and Naomi Grossman announcing the nominations for the 41st Annual Saturn Awards.
Well, hello everyone, and hello Naomi.
How exciting is this?
Very exciting. This is the first time that the nominations have ever been announced live at an event like this.
No pressure.
And don't you look amazing with a little bit of hair on your head?
A little bit.
Oh, right. And sparkly and stuff. And I know I look good, so you don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me.
I'm on a huge Apple box and 6-inch heels. I
Right.
still don't know if they got us in the same frame.
Right.
But
There's a good foot between us. I know.
That's
It's
true.
like this way. I know. Aw.
Anyway, I'm ready.
I'm
Are
ready
you?
if you are. Oh, do you know what? Let's drink to this.
Oh, let's
what do you
drink
say?
to
What do you
it.
say? Because I want a hint as to who's going to be nominated today. Tink. Oh, quite refreshing.
I'm ready now. All right, let's see if my name's on here. All right, the nominees for Best Superhero Adaptation Television Series are Agent Carter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, Constantine, The Flash, and Gotham. All right, and next, Best Youth-Oriented Television Series. The 100, Doctor Who, Pretty Little Liars, Supernatural, Teen Wolf, and The Vampire Diaries.
Awesome. Love all those shows. Come on now. In the category of Best Guest Performance on a Television Series, this year's nominees are Dominic Cooper for Agent Carter, Neil Patrick Harris in American Horror Story, Freak Show.
He's my friend.
That's your friend, yes. John Larroquette in The Librarians, Wentworth Miller in The Flash, Michael Pitt for Hannibal, and Andrew J. West in The Walking Dead. In the category of Best Performance by a Younger Actor on a Television Series, the nominees this year are Carmen Bykendova in Gotham, my little friend Maxim Knight for Falling Skies, my other friend Tyler Posey from Teen Wolf.
You have so many friends.
Well, you know, I've worked a lot. I don't want to boast. Chandler Riggs for The Walking Dead, Holly Taylor in The Americans, and Maisie Williams for Game of Thrones.
And Best Supporting Actress on a Television Series. Let's see if I have friends.
Okay.
Amelia Clarke from Game of Thrones. Jenna Coleman from Doctor Who. Caroline Daverness from Hannibal. Lexa Doig of Continuum, Emily Kinney of The Walking Dead, and Melissa McBride of The Walking Dead. None of which are my friends, but I'm open to befriending them.
Sure, you find them on Twitter, right? Hashtag Saturn Awards.
There you go.
Of course.
And Best Supporting Actor on a Television Series, David Bradley of The Strain, Lawrence Fishburne of Hannibal, Sam Heughan from Outlander, Eric Knudsen of Continuum, Norman Reedus of The Walking Dead, and Richard Sammel from The Strain.
And the acting categories continue with Best Actress on a Television Series. The nominees are Haley Atwell from Agent Carter, Katrina Balfe of Outlander, Vera Farmiga from Bates Motel, your friend Jessica Lange from American Horror Story Freak Show, Rachel Nichols in Continuum, and Rebecca Romaine for The Librarians. And the Best Actor on a Television Series category, the nominees are Hugh Dancy in Hannibal, Grant Gustin in The Flash, Andrew Lincoln of The Walking Dead, Tobias Menzies in Outlander, Mads Mikkelsen in Hannibal, and my dear friend Noah Wiley in Falling Skies.
We should say just because we have friends doesn't mean we have anything to do with this.
Sure,
right?
Of course. No, we don't sway the judging or the voting at all. That's kind of going to be up to people out there, other people that aren't you and me.
Right.
Okay, but I think people can vote if they go on the Webernet site for the Saturn Awards. But I'm sure that Chase will have more information about that in a minute.
Okay, let's hope she knows more than us.
I hope she knows more than us.
All right, and the nominees for Best Syndicated Cable Television Series. Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Both our shows are nominated.
Yes, we're neck and neck
head
here.
to head.
We're gonna do some fisticuffs.
I'm gonna go to your belly button.
Right. Well, like I said before, you're the one person in the room I can take, so
That's
it's
true.
on, girl. Okay.
All right, here they are. The nominees are 12 Monkeys, American Horror Story Freak Show, Continuum, Falling Skies, Salem, The Strain, and The Walking Dead. It's a what do you call it? Just to be nominated?
It's an honor.
It's an honor.
And a privilege.
The best limited run television series, Bates Motel, From Dusk Till Dawn, Game of Thrones, The Last Ship, The Librarians, and Outlander. And best network television series, lots of TV shows.
Lots of TV shows.
The Blacklist, The Following, Grimm, Hannibal, Person of Interest, and Sleepy Hollow. A lot of good TV shows.
A lot of good TV shows. That's why if you can't watch them all at once, you go to your Webernet device and you stream it later. You see what I'm saying?
True.
On all those on-demand things. I don't know much about that either. Maybe Chase knows about that too.
Chase is going to teach us a lot.
She's going to teach us a lot today, I think. I feel good about this. A category I just absolutely love, Best Fantasy Film. This year's nominees are Birdman, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, Into the Woods, Maleficent, and Paddington. Another fun category, Best Action Adventure Film. This year's category nominees are Exodus, Gods and Kings, Inherent Vice, Lucy, Noah, Snowpiercer, and Unbroken.
You don't get all the fun categories, Doug.
Uh-oh, what's up? What's up next?
Best thriller film,
Yes, I'm thrilled already.
American Sniper, The Equalizer, Gone Girl, The Guest, The Imitation Game, and Nightcrawler. This is a category close to my heart. Best horror films.
Yes.
Annabelle, The Babadook, Dracula Untold, Horns, Only Lovers Alive, Left Alive, Only Lovers Left Alive, and The Purge, Anarchy.
Now here comes a category for smart people because the writing, best film writing. Now you know, without writers, you and I have nothing to do as actors. We have nothing to say.
That's true.
And so it takes smart people to do that. So here's a list of some smart people. Best film writing category, this year's nominees are Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Stephen McFeely, Christopher Marcus. Edge of Tomorrow, Christopher McQuarrie, Jez Butterworth, and John Henry Butterworth. The Grand Budapest Hotel, Wes Anderson. Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn and Nicole Perlman. The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, Peter Jackson, and my dear friend Guillermo del Toro. Whiplash, Damien Chazelle.
I'm going to nominate you for Best Reader.
Oh, see.
You don't leave out any words.
If they're written, girlfriend, I'm going to read them. Okay.
And your pronunciation of Turkish, it's really something.
Was there Turkish in there?
Budapest.
Oh, that's Hungarian, love.
Oh. I lost the category of geography.
Well, it's a good thing we're not nominating for that fifth grader show, whatever that is. Right.
Right, thanks.
In the category of Best Film Director, this year's nominees are Alejandro G. Inarritu for Birdman, James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy, Doug Liman for Edge of Tomorrow, Christopher Nolan of Interstellar, Matt Reeves, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, John Russo and Anthony Russo for Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Bryan Singer for X-Men, Days of Future Past.
And Best Supporting Actress in a Film, the nominees are Jessica Chastain of Interstellar, Scarlett Johansson of Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Evangeline Lilly of The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, Rene Russo, Nightcrawler, Emma Stone of Birdman, and Meryl Streep of Into the Woods. I read all the words on that page.
You did very good, and there was no Turkish in there anywhere.
Or hungry,
Or
even though I
Hungarian.
am a little.
Oh.
Maybe that's my problem. All right, next category, Best Supporting Actor in a Film. The nominees are Richard Armitage of The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, Josh Brolin, Inherent Vice, Samuel L. Jackson, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Anthony Mackie, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Andy Serkis, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and, see, I just said it, Dawn of the Planet of the Eights.
Oh, not the sevens? Okay.
No, I'm... J.K. Simmons of Whiplash.
Yes. And to continue the acting categories, Best Actress in a Film, this year's nominees are Emily Blunt for Edge of Tomorrow, Essie Davis in The Babadook, Duke. Babadook, yes, no, it's a toughie. The lovely Anne Hathaway for Interstellar, Angelina Jolie in Maleficent, Jennifer Lawrence, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, and my dear friend Rosamund Pike for Gone Girl.
You don't need to brag about having all these famous friends.
I've worked with her and she's lovely. Yeah, so I'll work with you one day and I'll say the same about you.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's going to happen.
Best Science Fiction Film.
Oops, wait, I have another category.
Oh.
Look at me.
I got
look at
all
me.
excited.
Well, I know we're talking about actors and here we are just getting
People look at me.
Yes, and in the category of Best Actor in a Film, the nominees are Tom Cruise for Edge of Tomorrow, Chris Evans, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, another friend of mine from the Fantastic Four, Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler, Michael Keaton from Birdman, Matthew McConaughey for Interstellar, Chris Pratt, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Dan Stevens in The Guest.
And the nominees for Best Science Fiction Film are Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Edge of Tomorrow, Godzilla, The Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1, Interstellar, and The Zero Theorem. And the nominees for Best Comic Book to Film Release: The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and X-Men, Days of Future Past.
Well, I don't know about you. I need another swig of the hint. What do you think? That was good on. We read a lot of words.
Got through it. Lots of
we
words.
Did, and
not
that's
always
very
in the
exciting.
right order,
very
but
exciting.
we did it.
So I can't wait to see who wins all these categories, right? So keep watching.
Thanks so much for watching, and back to you, Chase.
Thanks so much, Doug and Naomi. For a complete list of all the nominations in each category, please visit the Saturn Awards website at saturnawards.org. We're opening up the voting this year in specific categories, and we encourage everyone to participate. This affiliate membership program can also be found on our website, saturnawards.org. The 41st Annual Saturn Awards will be held on June 25th. Stick around for some fantastic discussion on the nominations and all things genre. But first, we want to acknowledge the passing of one of our heroes, Leonard Nimoy. Mr. Nimoy was considered to be one of the greatest persons working in the field of genre entertainment. His work in front of and behind the camera was and will always be highly respected by our leadership, and because of that, he was honored with several Saturn Awards. Mr. Nimoy will always live inside us. Following the tribute, please join us for a discussion with 4 genre experts on the nominations we just announced. I'm Chase Masterson, and thank you all for joining with us.
June of 1967, dear Leonard, for the past several weeks, this is real. I've been consulted with respect to the operation in regards to your personally handling your fan mail, and I have iterated myself many times with regard to the agreement that I made with respect to our obligations to you in this connection. For purposes of clarification, to you and others receiving copies of this memo, I would like to iterate the agreement that was made. Desilu, that was the producing company at the time, in addition to your compensation, agrees to pay you $100 per episode towards your secretary and equipment needs for your personally handling the fan mail. Not intended, nor was it specifically agreed, that we would furnish you with pens, pencils, etc. June 13th. Dear Ed, thank you very much for taking the time to send me your memo clarifying our agreement as regards to fan mail supplies, etc. I hasten to assure you that we will no longer need to make requests in this area for some time, since my secretary and I have managed to steal enough pens and pencils from various offices around the studio. I have had the glimpses of the heavenly life, and I'm extremely, extremely grateful for all the opportunities that I've had to experience that. Live long and prosper.
All right, thanks for being here. Guys, welcome. And so glad you guys are aboard here. And we definitely want to hear, what are your thoughts on these Saturn Award announcements?
I like the horror film category this year. I think that there's been a great resurgence in horror films from not just the United States, but all over the world. And I thought Only Lovers Left Alive and The Babadook kind of knocked it out of the park this year.
Okay.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I personally love the science fiction awards. I mean, like Edge of Tomorrow was an incredible. Unfortunately, you know, they couldn't figure out a right title, so that's why it kind of bombed. There was like Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. What was it really called? I still don't know what it was called.
All You Need Is Kill.
All You Need Is Kill,
It's
right.
Whoever made that marketing decision should get fired.
I think they were
It's
fired.
the worst marketing decision in
them
human
and their
history.
friends were all fired. They're like, pack your bags, All You Need Is Kill, should have been called that. But what a great science fiction film.
Very cool.
And, you know, return to form for Tom Cruise as well. Really fun film. And Emily Blunt just knocking it out of the park. It was a really fun film. So that, to me, was one of the highlights of this year. So
I love that it's such a diverse category too. That you have hard sci-fi, you've got really some great action sci-fi like All You Need Is Kill or Edge of Tomorrow, or whatever you want to call it at this point.
And, you know, Interstellar, I mean, Christopher Nolan, because of the Dark Knight success, has Warner Brothers giving him and Paramount $200 million to make thoughtful science fiction epics.
Right.
I mean, in this day and age, we live in heady times, my friends.
Speaking of budget and the returns, box office, there have been some remarkable, amazing box office numbers, but they're extremely varied. I think that's part of why it's so remarkable. Planet of the Apes grossed $702 million at the box office, while Terry Gilliam's The Theorem, Zero Theorem, grossed $219,000. Talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, Terry Gilliam is so well loved. He has such an incredible fan base, and yet nobody turned out. What do you think the audiences are wanting these days in terms of, is it the high budget? Is it too quirky? Do we want more mainstream tentpole? Or the days of quirky little sci-fi films gone?
Well, you know, Zero Theorem didn't really hit it out of the park, you know, story-wise, directing-wise. It wasn't really, you know, I'll say it, I didn't like it. So, you know, I love Terry Gilliam. I think he's a genius. He's given us Brazil, if that's all he's ever given us or will give us. But he's got Monty Python. The list goes on and
12
on.
Monkeys.
12 Monkeys. So,
film.
yeah, Zero Theorem was just, you know, Time Bandits. So, hey, we can give him a pass. We've given him a couple passes, and that's a pass for me on Zero Theorem. But, you know, I mean, budget-wise, I mean, that's where we're at now. I mean, you know, a big, giant blockbuster film, if it gets good word of mouth, I mean, even just look at this year, The Kingsman. It just keeps staying at #2. It's because of word of mouth. It's not, I mean, that's where we're at now, and we live in an internet culture, like to go to see films, to watch television. You have to be like checking out like what other people say and what they're, you know, so that's kind of how, like if someone said like Robert's like, man, you got to see this movie. I remember he told me about The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. The Swedish version. And I went and saw it. It was playing. No one had heard about it. I brought a bunch of my friends. My hipster friends was like, look, I got good word that this is awesome. The first hour of it, they were like, and I was like, sorry, you know, because it was like, you know, it was like, she didn't even get introduced until the hour point. Right. That's when it really hit. And afterwards, they're like, that was amazing. You know, sorry, we're going back too far. Let's talk about 2014.
Well, you know, to bring up what your point about, I think what's really interesting is you have an independent sensibility with people like James Gunn, the Russo brothers, who now made two of the most successful genre films of the year, Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's a real testament to Kevin Feige at Marvel for taking a chance. I mean, if every studio director would hire a guy who'd made a movie like Slither or Super to go make $150 or $175 million tentpole, imagine the world that we would live in. I mean, Kevin Feige is the biggest gambler in Hollywood today, and he is consistently knocking it out of the park. And everyone's saying, well, you know, Guardians isn't going to work. Oh, really? You know, now we've got Avengers, Age of Ultron and the Vision in movies.
Right.
I mean,
Crazy.
Unbelievable. And Ant-Man, don't count Ant-Man out. Michael Douglas in a Marvel movie, following on the heels of Robert Redford. Come on.
Yeah.
It is true that major stars are turning out in droves to do these films, and that hasn't always been the case. I mean, Guardians grossing $773 million when everyone was really dicey about the very prospect. Talk to me about the quality of the tentpole movies, well, and in terms of both story and obviously special effects and the acting, which is important.
I think the quality is really good right now, and there's a lot of debate about whether or not there's too many superhero movies or whether or not we need more adult dramas. Well, look, there were about 36 adult dramas in the mid-budget range actually last year, you know, and there were 5 superhero movies. And I think what you're seeing by bringing in these directors who have worked on smaller indie films and who have a lot of really unique visions to bring to it. I mean, even Chris Nolan, look at where he started out before helming the Dark Knight series, you know. I think genre entertainment and the nominees here at the Saturn Awards this year are a good sign of just how much quality and actually true artistic vision there is behind sci-fi and genre entertainment these days.
And television. I mean, look what we have on television. The Flash and Hannibal. We've got awesome horror, awesome superheroics. I mean, we've got comic book adaptations. Brian Bendis' Powers is going to be on PlayStation Network.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones?
They're actually putting that in theaters. I went and saw Game of Thrones 2 episodes in IMAX, and it was insane. It beat so many of the other films that were playing in the theaters. I was like, I would go see Game of Thrones every week in a theater.
Well, I think they should do that.
Yeah.
Like a week in advance.
They
before
should.
it airs.
HBO, if
I
you were
would go.
smart, you would do that, HBO.
And even like
Well, and speaking
connecting-
of which, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, our young Padawan here.
Please.
I was gonna say even like connecting TV shows with the movies, like Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they're already setting up films for Marvel that are in 2018.
Yeah,
that
kudos
are-
to ABC for that,
yeah.
and to CW for taking these great strides in so many fantastic superhero projects. I mean, obviously, The Flash and Arrow are at the top of their game, and not just in terms of superhero genre, but in terms of real stories. I mean, The Flash and Arrow have themes that are incredibly compelling, and it's really not just about Flash. It's really about incredible story, just as powerful as any other genre on television. And I think that's one reason the Saturns are so important, because unfortunately, the Emmys and the Oscars don't always honor excellence in acting and excellence that some of these films and television shows deserve. Just because they're genre, they're left out.
I was going to say, like, you know, everyone's talking about the tsunami of superhero films and this and that. And it's like, I couldn't see a superhero film in the late 90s. No one would do it. They were like, it's a risk, it's a risk. Now I'm happy to be alive to see all these amazing films. And it's not a tsunami, it's like a couple.
Right.
And we still have amazing other films going on. I mean, you know, one that didn't make it is Under the Skin. That's an incredible science fiction film. I was surprised it wasn't nominated. But there's so many films like that will not get nominated because we have just too much going on. So it's a great time to be alive and to be a nerd.
Well, it's funny you say Under the Skin because that was also a literary adaptation. It was an adaptation of Michael Faber's book, which was great. Now we're getting more. They just announced they're going to make The Stars My Destination, maybe.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
more
one of
than
the
that,
great.
guys.
Haven't they talked about that for how
but
many
there's
years?
so many great literary-based properties that are getting adapted. Game of Thrones being one of them. Fincher's Gone Girl being another. I mean, there's
a lot of great
stuff.
Speaking of which, Stephanie, you got some stuff for us. What's going on in the digital verse?
Hey guys, so Carlos is in the live chat. Thank you guys for live chatting right next to the YouTube feed. You can send us your questions. Carlos wants to know, what do you guys think about DC films? Can they catch up to the Marvel universe?
Well,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
the television already is like I said, at the top of its game.
Other than
I think
Avengers,
that.
though, I mean, the DC movies already got there. Nolan's Batman movies, especially the last two. But I think there's this weird, what do you think about the rivalry? I mean, you're wearing a Marvel shirt. Are you a Marvel guy or are you a DC guy?
I'm a fan of all genres.
Me
So
too.
I don't have any, there's no top number one. And I think it's laughable. You know, Carlos, it's a nice question, but the rivalry is like, hey, look, every single Marvel movie that makes money means a DC movie's gonna make more money too. It's just like, it's amping that kind of excitement for genre pictures, albeit science fiction, superhero, fantasy, whatever it is that you're into, we just get more of it. I'm happy that Fox owns X-Men and Fantastic Four, because that means we get more Marvel movies, because they're competing against Marvel.
And what a strong category. I think this is the first year with comic book movies as a category.
Yeah, right.
And you've got four. Well, Captain America was great.
Sure, it was really fun.
Bryan Singer knocked it out of the park again with Days of Future
He made
Past.
me forget about Jack the Giant Killer, or whatever.
And Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, those are three. Marvel is, but maybe next year, Batman versus Superman is going to be at the top.
Yeah.
I
Who
think
knows?
what's interesting is that DC is taking that different approach, and people want to know, well, whose approach is better? Well, they're both very strong, valid approaches, and DC, by the end of 2016, will have established they're going for kind of the pre-existing superhero world and supervillain world. We will have had Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Suicide Squad, so there will be a whole range of characters, backgrounds, everything set up as pre-existing, so they'll really be able to just kind of jump right in, and they don't need to do a whole lot of origin tales, and I think it's a great alternate way to get there compared to Marvel.
Let me ask you, what do you think it is that really propels this genre? What is it that keeps audiences tuning in, coming back, buying, watching? What is it? What is at the heart of all of this? Is it the fantastical idea that we can have greater powers than we have? Is it the themes? Is it what are those? What are the things that make the audience tune in?
Well, it's two things: imagination and escapism. I mean, it's to be able to go outside of your normal life and see something that you might have imagined, or it all stems from story. So story is the most important thing, and then the imagination flourishes, and then escapism. Boy, what would it be like to be on another planet? What would it be like to experience meeting an alien? Or any one of these types of things, or going on a 5-year mission to explore the galaxy.
Well, I was just going to say, Chase, I mean, you were on Star Trek, and I think probably the greatest modern incarnation of Star Trek. And
Clearly.
what was that? But the genre is really, at its core, we want to believe that human beings, even though they're superpowered, are going to solve problems. We will overcome. And I mean, Superman by proxy is just a kid in the neighborhood who's going to grow up and maybe do something as super without requiring Kryptonian DNA. I mean, we want to believe that, and I think the genre is inherently, even the darkest horror films, at their core, have human beings that are going to defeat the evil.
Absolutely.
They're going to fight back to
It's
Cthulhu.
mythology, and
Or maybe not.
There was a period in time when, in Hollywood history, when biblical epics and sandal and sword kind of movies were the thing, and we went through a period in the 70s and part of the 80s where Hollywood quit making big religious epic or mythical storytelling, and I think that genre in general and superhero films in particular speak to that, and I think it's a very real part of us. Part of the reason we're drawn to fantasy and escapism is that it's able to talk about aspects of our lives and of the human condition that when you do just a real life drama film, you can touch on it, but you touch on it in maybe a little bit too on the nose of a way, and that these films really can get at it in a much broader method than maybe is possible in other kinds of filmmaking.
Beautifully allegorical. I think one thing that really is important is to realize that these films and the idea of superheroes and heroes that we love on screen also speak to us in terms of what we're able to do ourselves. When we see somebody accomplishing something brave and extraordinary, we know that there are things that we ourselves can do that are brave and extraordinary, and we know that we can take that risk and really truly make the world a better place. I think, you know, there's something in us that says we love superheroes. Why not be one? And
Well, you
our
kind of
desire,
have been doing that in your own real life.
Well, I love how the fandom out there does that. I mean, we are part of an amazing group where you guys do reach out and make the world a better place. And not to get off the subject, but how many times have we all gone to conventions that have amazing charity outreaches and things that really do create not just stories on the big screen, but real stories in real life that we can actually be the heroes that we emulate. I think that's one reason that superheroes and heroes are so close to our hearts.
You know, the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, I know when I first moved to LA, the Academy's events and Dr. Reed himself was a big part of my life. And, you know, when I was feeling down in the dumps or something, every Sunday I could go to USC and go to Norris Theater, and I could see 3 movies even if I was broke, I had my Academy membership, and Dr. Reed would stand up and he would say, "This was the best movie I've ever seen this year," and he would give a speech, and his enthusiasm was infectious. And I can't tell you, you know, these Saturn Awards and how the genres exploded, and now people are starting, because they're the only people
Way
that have been
before being a nerd was cool,
Oh,
right?
and they've been
I mean, 41 years
recognized.
here, 43 years.
Yeah.
Look how
And
it's pushing forward on television.
Yeah.
I mean, the boundaries are being broken by genre films, like Hannibal. You know, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you would never have seen this kind of thing on television.
Yeah, kudos to
You know?
NBC for Hannibal and for Constantine, to ABC
Yeah.
for Agent Carter, and Once Upon a Time, I missed that in this list. But there's so much being done, and the Saturns were there during the dark years. There was a time when, I don't know about where you grew up, but where I grew up, this stuff was just not popular yet, and it was just such that it's just really great that the Saturn Awards have been here throughout consistently. These guys are the real deal. Just like Big Finish kept Doctor Who alive, the Saturn Awards have really been consistent in honoring excellence in genre entertainment. Stephanie, you had a couple other things for us.
Yeah. Fumbuck ask, what do you think of Godzilla being nominated for science fiction? Shouldn't science fiction be plausible, futuristic films? I don't know what you guys think about that, but
Oh, there's so much crossover here. Take
This
that.
isn't specifically hard sci-fi. You know, it's like it's all science fiction.
Have you not seen Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, where the aliens from Planet 10 come on in flying saucers and they steal Godzilla and Rodan?
Yeah, they look like guys from Daft Punk or something.
Yeah, I mean, Godzilla does. Maybe it's not Neuromancer, maybe it's not a Neil Stephenson novel, but I'll tell you, Godzilla, the Transformers are science fiction. I mean, we got a Transformers movie that made more money than any Transformers movie before this year.
And wasn't it so great?
Yeah.
And
Well,
Godzilla's not rooted in magic. His powers aren't magical. It's the basis for it is that he's supposed to be like, well, some kind of almost a dinosaur. And even in this new film, they try to explain why he can breathe fire. It doesn't matter if it's entirely plausible or not. It's
Planet of the
science.
Apes
It's
was also
fiction and
nominated
it's
in
rooted
science
in
fiction.
scientific ideas.
And
A lot
Godzilla
of
was also a
crossover there.
reaction to an allegorical reaction to Japan being bombed in World War II and radiation. I mean, that is in itself a very science fiction concept, and it's just done in a pulpy way. I mean, science fiction came from Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, and while it might not be, serious.
So many important political statements that are being made in terms of the world we live in, and the great allegory that's in this genre is really neat to see, and to see the world change, and to see people standing up for freedom and liberty and justice and all the things that science fiction and fantasy stand for.
It's great, actually, that you mentioned that. And that was something that really struck me about a lot of the nominations. When you look at them, there is an analysis that's taking place in genre entertainment of current social issues that you won't really see in very much other cinema.
Yeah.
Even if you look at a lot of the dramatic adult drama films and a lot of them that are just really great, but you don't necessarily see them attempting to address and talk about the national security state and the NSA and domestic spying. The Marvel films are all an entire deconstruction of post 9/11 national security state, where you're not really seeing that kind of thing being done a lot else unless you watch Citizen 4. Where else are you going to encounter it except in genre entertainment?
It's a lot about justice, which we know is how the world should be. I've got one more question for you guys. What are you looking forward to? What's next?
I could say Twin Peaks, because it's happening 25 years later, and I would never have imagined, being a Twin Peaks fan, that they would return exactly at the time of that dream state, you will see me again in 25 years. You will. That's the power of the world we live in now, where that is playing all the time on Netflix. You can get this amazing DVD set.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is Saturn Award nominated this year.
I know. That's why I'm mentioning it, because it's worth getting if you haven't seen it. It's an incredible, and isn't one of your things Saturn nominated?
That is true.
Star
Trek: The Next Generation Season 7 Blu-ray is
indeed.
nominated for. Thank you. I worked on those for a long time.
What about the
Roger
Deep Space
Lay and
Nine
I.
Blu-ray?
Yeah. What about the Deep Space Nine Blu-ray? Where's that?
Anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna. Look. You know what I'm looking forward to that I can't believe that's coming out on my birthday, May 15th. Mad Max: Fury Road.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Can I brag and say I've already seen it?
I know,
and it's
I know.
Incredible.
Wow,
It's
really?
incredible.
Warner Brothers went and made a Mad Max movie. Let George Miller come back after 30 years. It gives me hope I can make free
and make a sequel to The Road Warrior, not Thunderdome. That's what this is.
It's unbelievable.
awesome.
I can't believe it. And then there's that movie coming out at the end of the year. That movie with the robots. Takes place in space. That movie.
that one.
What is it?
Oh,
It's
Star
Among the
Wars.
Stars.
Right. That's what it is.
Right.
Star Wars is
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah, that'll be
We
good.
live in
Fantastic.
heady times.
Yeah, Mark?
I look forward to seeing the Star Wars being brought back in a way that is. I love the prequel films. Personally, I like anything Star Wars. It doesn't matter what it is. You can take a brown paper sack and write Star Wars on it, and I'm going to praise it. But
That might happen in December. You didn't know.
yeah,
There's
it's,
a lot
it's
of
entirely
merchandising in it.
possible.
I'm sure they will.
I love that they're expanding it, and we're going to see different spin-off movies and things. I love the Star Wars universe, and I'm glad. I'm one of the people that's really happy that if someone else was going to take it over, that it's Disney, someone that's really interested in really just blowing it up bigger and getting back into it in a way that I think is going to really do it and do the fans justice.
How do you feel about Ahsoka being revealed at the end of Star Wars Rebels? Was that good? See her come back? Clone.
You know,
She was
spoilers. Some people haven't
left
even
in the
seen that
Clone Wars.
episode.
Well, you know what?
Can't
Her
believe it.
universe.
Burnett's
That girl,
ruining it for everyone.
that female clothing geek line spoiled that on Twitter for me, and I was really angry.
And
So I'm just
Stephanie
spoiled
is
for
wearing
her.
a
Oh,
Star
don't speak
Wars
ill of
dress,
her
by the way.
universe.
I love her universe.
They're the
I wear their
best.
Girls Gorn T-shirt to the conventions.
I know.
They're great.
Oh, here, let me pimp something really quick. Something I'm looking forward to is a documentary called The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, which I'm making, and it's coming out May 1st, so check it out.
All right. All right.
So
I
is
really
your
look
box
forward to
office
seeing
going to
that.
be more than Avengers Age of Ultron?
Yeah,
What do you
I'm sorry I'm going to have to chip away a little bit of Marvel, Disney's money, so, you know, sorry about that.
Did you want to weigh in on what you're...
Yeah, I was going to say Jurassic World, because I grew up on Jurassic Park, and then I love the post-apocalyptic theme, so Mad Max as well.
Yeah. What do you think about Chris Pratt coming in and taking over the
I think he's
the
going to
lead?
do good.
I mean, he can do no wrong, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're thinking about hiring him for Indiana Jones.
What do you
So-
think about that?
I can see it.
Can he play good Indiana Jones?
And we could go on and on and on. I wish you guys could all be here for the after show, the wrap-up. Believe me, we'll be talking for hours, but so glad you guys could be here. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. And thank you for more than that. You guys, the fans, you're the people who create and drive these genres. You inspire us, you nurture and help shape ideas, creating a cultural zeitgeist that crosses boundaries, speaks of hope for a better future, and creates a better world. And sometimes, like a lot of our nominees, your understanding and passion for genre entertainment in childhood leads you to eventually create powerful film and TV. Log on to SaturnAwards.org to become a member and vote for your favorite films and TV shows, actors and artists who create this powerful medium. I'm Chase Masterson. See you at the Saturns.